I stood in front of the mirror, smoothing down my dress for the 100th time. The restaurant reservation was in an hour, and Travis had promised this would be a special night. My stomach fluttered with a mix of excitement and apprehension. "Samantha, you ready?" Travis called from the living room. "Just a minute." I took a deep breath, grabbed my purse, and stepped out. Travis whistled appreciatively. "Wow, babe, you look stunning." I smiled, drinking in his appearance. He was dressed in a sharp suit, his sandy hair perfectly tousled. "You clean up pretty well yourself." He grinned, that charming, boyish grin that had first caught my attention 3 years ago. "Shall we?" He offered his arm, and we headed out. The restaurant was upscale, with soft lighting and white tablecloths. As we perused the menu, I couldn't help but wonder about the occasion. "Travis, what's all this about?" I asked, curiosity getting the better of me. He reached across the table, taking my hand. "Can't a guy treat his girl to a nice dinner?" I raised an eyebrow. "Of course, but you've been acting mysterious all week." He chuckled. "Always the detective, aren't you? Let's order first, okay?" Throughout dinner, Travis kept the conversation light, regaling me with stories from his latest business trip. I found myself relaxing, enjoying the evening. As we finished our dessert, Travis suddenly grew serious. "Sam, these past 3 years have been amazing." My heart began to race. Was this going where I thought it was? "You're the best thing that's ever happened to me," he continued, reaching into his pocket. "I can't imagine my life without you." He pulled out a small velvet box and got down on one knee. The other diners around us fell silent. "Samantha Marie Cooper, will you marry me?" I stared at the sparkling diamond ring, my mind whirling. This was it, the moment I'd dreamed of, yet somehow never quite believed would happen. Travis, my free-spirited, adventure-loving boyfriend, was proposing. "Sam?" Travis prompted, a hint of nervousness in his voice. I realized I'd been silent for too long. "Yes," I breathed. "Yes, I'll marry you." The restaurant erupted in applause as Travis slipped the ring on my finger and pulled me in for a kiss. Later that night, as we lay in bed, reality began to set in. "We're getting married," I murmured, still in disbelief. Travis pulled me closer. "I can't wait to start our life together." I hesitated, then voiced the concern that had been nagging at me. "Travis, you know I love you, but are you sure you're ready for this? Marriage is a big step." He propped himself up on an elbow, looking down at me. "Sam, I've never been more sure of anything in my life. You're the one who grounds me, who makes me want to be a better man." His words warmed my heart, but a small part of me still worried. Travis had always been the spontaneous one, while I was the planner. Could we really make this work? As if reading my thoughts, Travis said, "I know I've been a bit of a wild card, but I'm ready to settle down, with you." I smiled, pushing my doubts aside. "I love you, Travis." "I love you too, Sam. Always." The next morning, I woke to the smell of coffee. Travis was in the kitchen, attempting to make breakfast. "Morning, fiancé," he said with a grin, presenting me with a slightly burnt piece of toast. I laughed, kissing him on the cheek. For effort. As I sipped my coffee, my phone buzzed. It was a text from my best friend, Lisa. "Heard the news. Can't believe Travis finally popped the question. Call me ASAP." I was about to reply when Travis's phone rang. His face lit up as he answered. "Mom, yes, she said yes." I froze. I'd completely forgotten about Travis's mother, Mabel, the woman who'd never quite warmed up to me, who always seemed to find fault with everything I did. As Travis chatted excitedly with his mother, I felt a knot forming in my stomach. What had I gotten myself into? I smoothed my wedding dress one last time before stepping out of the dressing room. My heart raced as I walked down the aisle, Travis beaming at me from the altar. Despite my lingering doubts, I pushed them aside. This was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. Fast forward 6 months, and I found myself staring at our joint bank account, my stomach in knots. "Travis," I called out, trying to keep my voice steady. "Can you come here for a second?" He sauntered into the room, still in his pajamas despite it being well past noon. "What's up, babe?" I pointed at the screen. "Care to explain this $500 charge at the golf course?" Travis shrugged. "Just a guy's day out. No big deal." "No big deal?" I echoed, incredulous. "Travis, we're supposed to be saving for our future. Remember the house we talked about?" He waved his hand dismissively. "Relax, Sam. We've got plenty of time for all that boring stuff." I took a deep breath, trying to calm myself. This isn't the first time, Travis. Last month it was that expensive watch, before that. Geez, are you keeping tabs on me now? Travis interrupted, his tone sharp. I thought we were partners, not warden and prisoner. His words stung. That's not fair, I'm just trying to be responsible. Travis's face softened. He pulled me into a hug. I'm sorry, babe, I know you're looking out for us. I'll try to be better, okay? I nodded, wanting to believe him. But a nagging voice in my head whispered that this conversation was far from over. Later that week, I was struggling with groceries when our neighbor, Edward, appeared out of nowhere. Need a hand? He asked, his warm smile instantly putting me at ease. That would be great, thanks, I said gratefully. As we walked to my apartment, Edward chatted easily about the neighborhood. I found myself relaxing, laughing at his jokes. Where's Travis? Edward asked as we reached my door. I hesitated. Oh, he's out with friends. Edward's eyebrow raised slightly, but he didn't comment. Well, if you ever need help again, don't hesitate to ask. That's what neighbors are for, right? I smiled, touched by his kindness. Thank you, Edward. I really appreciate it. That night, I confronted Travis about his absence. You said you'd be home to help with errands today. Travis looked up from his phone, annoyed. Something came up at work. I texted you. No, you didn't, I said, checking my messages. I had to lug everything myself. If Edward hadn't... Edward? Travis's eyes narrowed. What's he got to do with this? I explained about the groceries, surprised by Travis's reaction. He was just being neighborly. Travis scoffed. Yeah, I bet he was. Look, Sam, I don't like you hanging around other guys. I stared at him, shocked. Are you serious right now? He's our neighbor, Travis, and maybe if you were around more. Oh, here we go again, Travis groaned. You know what? I'm going out. Travis, wait. But he was already gone, slamming the door behind him. I sank onto the couch, fighting back tears. This wasn't how I imagined married life would be. Travis's charm, once so alluring, now felt like a mask hiding something darker. The next morning, I woke to find Travis's side of the bed empty. A text from him read, Crashed at Mike's. See you tonight. I sighed, getting ready for work. As I left the apartment, I ran into Edward again. This morning, Samantha, he said cheerfully. Then, noticing my expression, everything okay? I forced a smile. Just fine. Have a good day, Edward. As I walked away, I couldn't shake the feeling that something had to change. The man I married was slipping away, replaced by someone I barely recognized. And the scariest part? A small voice inside me wondered if that might not be such a bad thing after all. I was in the middle of a crucial work presentation when my phone buzzed incessantly. Ignoring it, I focused on my clients. As soon as the meeting ended, I checked my messages. 15 missed calls from Travis. My heart raced as I dialed him back. Sam, finally. Travis's voice was strained. It's Mom. Dad, he's gone. The world seemed to tilt on its axis. Oh, Travis, I'm so sorry. What happened? Heart attack. I'm at the hospital now. Can you come? I rushed to the hospital, finding Travis slumped in a waiting room chair. His eyes were red-rimmed, his usual charm replaced by raw grief. I held him as he sobbed, my own heart aching for his loss. Days blurred into weeks as we helped Mabel with funeral arrangements and settling affairs. Travis threw himself into taking care of his mother, spending more and more time at her house. One evening, as I was heating up another solo dinner, Travis called. Hey, babe, I'm staying at Mom's again tonight. I sighed, frustration bubbling up. Travis, it's been 3 weeks. When are you coming home? Sam, she needs me. You understand, right? I bit back a retort. Of course. It's just, I miss you. There was a pause. I miss you too. Look, why don't we bring Mom to stay with us for a while? It'll be easier on everyone. My stomach dropped. Stay with us? For how long? Just until she's back on her feet. A couple of weeks, tops. I wanted to protest, but couldn't find the words. Okay, I said finally, if you think it's best. The next day, Travis arrived with Mabel and several suitcases. I plastered on a smile, helping them settle in. That night, as we lay in bed, I whispered, Travis, are you sure about this? Our apartment's not that big. He turned to me, his expression hard. She's my mother, Sam. Where else is she supposed to go? I fell silent, the distance between us feeling wider than ever. Days turned into weeks, and Mabel showed no signs of leaving. She rearranged our kitchen, criticized my cooking, and monopolized the TV with her favorite shows. Travis seemed oblivious to my growing frustration. One evening, I came home to find Mabel had redecorated our living room. Surprise, she exclaimed. Doesn't it look so much better now? I stared at the frilly curtains and doilies covering every surface. Mabel, you can't just change our home without asking. Her face fell. I was only trying to help. Travis said it was fine. Did he now? I muttered, marching to our bedroom where Travis was lounging. Hey, babe, he said, not looking up from his phone. Travis, we need to talk about your mother. Travis, he sighed. What about her? She's taking over our home, and you're letting her. Travis sat up, frowning. She's going through a tough time, Sam. Can't you be more understanding? Understanding? I exploded. I've been nothing but understanding. But this is our home, Travis. Our life. When is she leaving? A look of surprise crossed his face. Leaving? Sam, she can't go back to that empty house. She's staying here. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. For how long? Travis shrugged. As long as she needs. I stared at him, disbelief turning to anger. And when were you planning on discussing this with me? Your wife? I didn't think I needed your permission to help my own mother, Travis snapped. It's not about permission, it's about respect, I shouted. This affects both of us, Travis. Or, have you forgotten we're supposed to be partners? Travis stood up, his face thunderous. You know what? I can't deal with this right now. I'm going out. As he stormed out, I sank onto the bed, tears of frustration streaming down my face. This wasn't the life I had signed up for. Something had to give, and I was terrified it might be me. I stared at the glossy brochure in my hands, my heart racing with a mix of excitement and trepidation. The luxury apartment complex looked like a dream come true, spacious rooms, a state-of-the-art kitchen, and a breathtaking view of the city skyline. What do you think, babe? Travis asked, his eyes gleaming with enthusiasm. This could be our fresh start. I hesitated. It's beautiful, but Travis, can we afford this? With your mom living with us and our current expenses. He waved off my concerns. Sam, this is an investment in our future. We deserve this after everything we've been through. I couldn't deny the allure of a new beginning, a chance to escape the cramped quarters we'd been sharing with Mabel. How would we manage the down payment? Travis's smile widened. That's the best part. I've found a way to make it work. We just need to sign the papers, and it's ours. Against my better judgment, I found myself nodding. Okay, let's do it. The next day, we met with the real estate agent. As we went through the paperwork, a detail caught my eye. Wait, why is only my name on the loan application? Travis squeezed my hand. It's just a formality, Sam. My credit isn't great right now because of some business investments. But don't worry, we're in this together. I frowned, a knot forming in my stomach. I don't know, Travis. This is a huge commitment. Do you trust me? He asked, his eyes locking with mine. I swallowed hard. Of course, but then trust me on this. It's the smart move, I promise. Against the screaming protests of my intuition, I signed the papers. Travis's triumphant grin should have been reassuring, but instead, it sent a chill down my spine. Weeks later, we moved into our new apartment. As I unpacked boxes in our gleaming kitchen, Mabel shuffled in, her face pinched with disapproval. I don't know why we had to move, she grumbled. Our old place was just fine. I bit back a retort. This place has more space for all of us, Mabel. You'll get used to it. She harumphed and wandered off. I sighed, wondering for the 1000th time when she'd return to her own home. That evening, as Travis and I sat on our new balcony, I broached the subject. Travis, have you talked to your mom about her plans? He tensed. What do you mean? Well, we moved here for a fresh start, right? I thought maybe she'd be ready to go back to her place soon. Travis's expression darkened. Sam, we've been over this. Mom needs us right now. But for how long? I pressed. It's been months and she's showing no signs of leaving. Because she's not going to leave, Travis snapped. This is her home now, too. I felt like I'd been doused in ice water. What? When did we decide this? I decided it, he said firmly. She's my mother, Sam. Where else is she supposed to go? But Travis, this apartment, the loan, it's all in my name. We can't afford. He cut me off. We'll make it work. You're being selfish, Sam. I thought you were better than this. As he stormed off, leaving me alone on the balcony, the full weight of my situation crashed down on me. I was trapped, financially responsible for a home I couldn't afford, living with a mother-in-law who'd never leave, and married to a man I barely recognized anymore. My phone buzzed with a text. It was Edward. Hey neighbor, noticed you moved. Everything okay? I stared at the message. tears welling in my eyes. In that moment, I realized I had a choice to make. I could continue down this path of misery, or I could fight back. But fighting back meant admitting that my marriage, my life, everything I'd built, it was all crumbling around me. With shaking hands, I typed a reply to Edward. "No, everything is not okay. Can we talk?" I stared at the stack of bills on the kitchen counter, my hands shaking. The mortgage payment was due in 3 days, and our account was nearly empty. Again, I took a deep breath and dialed Travis's number. "Hey, babe," he answered, his voice cheerful. "What's up?" "Travis, we need to talk about the mortgage," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "It's due soon, and we're short." Again, there was a pause. Oh, right. Listen, can you cover it this month? I've got some big deals in the works, but they haven't come through yet. I felt my blood pressure rising. "Travis, I've been covering it for the past 3 months. This was supposed to be our dream home, remember? Our shared responsibility." I know, he said, his tone dismissive, "but you're doing so well at work, and I'm still trying to get my business off the ground. It's just temporary, I promise." Before I could respond, I heard Mabel's voice in the background. "Travis, dear, are we still going shopping later?" My jaw clenched. "Is that your mother? Are you taking her shopping while we can't even pay our mortgage?" "Sam, don't start," Travis warned. "Look, I've got to go. We'll figure it out, okay? Love you." The line went dead. I stared at the phone in disbelief, then slumped into a chair, fighting back tears. A knock at the door startled me. I opened it to find Edward, holding a basket of muffins. "Hey, neighbor," he said with a warm smile. "Thought you could use a pick-me-up." I must have looked worse than I thought because his expression quickly turned to concern. "Samantha, what's wrong?" Before I knew it, I was spilling everything. The financial strain, Travis's irresponsibility, Mabel's constant presence. Edward listened patiently, his kind eyes never leaving mine. "I'm so sorry you're going through this," he said when I finished. "Have you considered talking to a financial advisor? Or maybe a lawyer?" I shook my head. "I can't afford either right now. And besides, Travis would never agree to it." Edward frowned. "Samantha, this isn't just about Travis anymore. You need to protect yourself." His words hit me hard. I'd been so focused on keeping our marriage afloat that I'd neglected my own well-being. Just then, Travis and Mabel burst through the door, laden with shopping bags. Travis froze when he saw Edward. "What's going on here?" "Edward just stopped by to say hello," I said quickly. "Thanks for the muffins, Edward. I'll see you around." After Edward left, Travis rounded on me. What was he doing here? "He's our neighbor, Travis. He was being friendly." Travis scoffed. "A little too friendly, if you ask me." I felt something snap inside me. "Oh, that's rich coming from you. Where were you all day? Shopping, while I'm here trying to figure out how to pay our bills." "Don't be dramatic, Sam," Travis said, rolling his eyes. "I told you I'll handle it." "When?" I demanded. "When are you going to start acting like a responsible adult?" Mabel chimed in, her voice shrill. "Don't you dare speak to my son that way, after everything he's done for you." "Enough!" I shouted, surprising even myself. "I can't do this anymore. I'm drowning here, Travis. I need help." Travis's face hardened. "What are you saying?" I took a deep breath, steeling myself. "I'm saying that things need to change, now. Either we go to couples counseling and financial planning, or what?" Travis challenged. The words left my mouth before I could stop them. "Or I'm done. I'll file for divorce." The silence that followed was deafening. Travis stared at me, shock and anger warring on his face. Mabel gasped dramatically, clutching her pearls. In that moment, looking at their stunned faces, I realized I'd reached a crossroads. The life I'd built with Travis, the future I'd imagined, it was all hanging by a thread. And for the first time, I wasn't sure if I wanted to keep holding on. "Your choice, Travis," I said quietly. "What's it going to be?" I paced our living room, anxiety gnawing at my insides. It had been 2 days since my ultimatum to Travis, and he'd barely spoken me since. The tension in our apartment was suffocating. The front door opened and Travis walked in. My heart raced as I searched his face for any sign of what he'd decided. "Sam, we need to talk," he said, his voice unnervingly calm. I nodded, bracing myself. "Okay. What have you decided?" Travis took a deep breath. "I want a divorce." The words hit me like a physical blow. Despite everything, I hadn't truly believed he'd choose this. "What, Travis? I didn't mean—" "I know what you meant," he interrupted. But it made me realize something. This isn't working, Sam. It hasn't been for a long time. I felt like I was drowning. But we can fix this. Counseling, like I suggested. It's too late for that, Travis said, his eyes not quite meeting mine. There's someone else. The world seemed to tilt on its axis. Someone else, I repeated, my voice barely a whisper. Travis nodded, looking almost relieved to have it out. Her name is Stella. We've been seeing each other for... How long is a while? A while, I demanded, anger starting to replace the shock. He hesitated. About 8 months. 8 months. The timeline hit me like a truck. Since before we moved here, before you convinced me to take out that loan... Travis at least had the decency to look ashamed. I'm sorry, Sam. I never meant for it to happen. But Stella and we connect in a way you and I never did. I laughed bitterly. And let me guess, she doesn't mind your mother living with you? Actually, Travis said, straightening up, Mom's moving in with Stella and me. We've found a place that's perfect for the 3 of us. The casual way he said it, like he was discussing weekend plans, made something snap inside. Snap inside me. Perfect for the 3 of you? What about me, Travis? What about the life we built, the mortgage that's in my name? He shrugged, and in that moment I saw him clearly for the first time. The charm, the promises, it had all been a facade. You're doing well at work. I'm sure you'll figure it out. Figure it out, I repeated, incredulous. You saddle me with a mortgage I can't afford, cheat on me for months, and now you're just walking away? I've already spoken to a lawyer, Travis said, pulling out a folder. These are the divorce papers. It'll be easier if you just sign them now. I stared at the folder, feeling like I was in some surreal nightmare. You want me to sign right now? Just like that? It's for the best, Sam, he said, his tone patronizing. A clean break. My hand shook as I took the folder. I flipped through the pages, the legal jargon swimming before my eyes. One phrase jumped out at me. The wife agrees to assume all financial responsibilities related to the marital home. You're leaving me with all the debt? I asked, my voice rising. After everything you've done? Travis had the audacity to look annoyed. Come on, Sam. Don't make this difficult. It's a fair deal. I looked at him. This man I thought I knew. This man I had loved. In his eyes I saw nothing but cold indifference. The realization hit me like a physical blow. I meant nothing to him. I never had. Get out, I whispered. What? Get out, I screamed, throwing the folder at him. Get out of my house, you lying, cheating bastard. Travis backed away, hands raised. Fine. I'll give you some time to calm down, but I'll be back for those papers, Sam. This is happening whether you like it or not. As the door slammed behind him, I collapsed onto the floor, sobs racking my body. My world had just imploded, and I was left alone in the ruins, drowning in debt and betrayal. Through my tears, I caught sight of my reflection in the mirror. The woman staring back at me looked broken, defeated. But as I held her gaze, I felt something stir deep inside. A spark of defiance, of rage. Travis thought he could walk all over me and get away with it. He was wrong. Dead wrong. I stared at the empty spaces in my apartment, the silence deafening. Travis had moved out yesterday, taking Mabel with him. The divorce papers lay unsigned on the coffee table, mocking me. My phone buzzed. Another text from Travis. Sign the papers, Sam. My lawyer's getting impatient. I threw the phone across the room, watching it bounce off the couch. The anger that had been simmering for days suddenly boiled over. I grabbed my keys and stormed out, needing to escape the suffocating walls. As I reached the elevator, I ran into Edward. His concerned eyes met mine. Samantha, are you okay? I laughed bitterly. Oh, I'm fantastic. My cheating ex-husband has left me with a mountain of debt and run off with his mistress. I'm living the dream. Edward's face softened. I'm so sorry. Is there anything I can do? I was about to brush him off when an idea struck me. Actually, yes. You're in real estate, right? I need your help. An hour later, we sat in a cafe, poring over documents. Edward's expression grew grimmer with each page. Samantha, this is worse than I thought. The loan terms are predatory and the property value is inflated. Travis really screwed you over. The confirmation of Travis's betrayal hit me like a punch to the gut. What can I do? Edward hesitated. There might be a way, but it's not exactly legal. I leaned forward, desperation overriding my usual caution. Tell me. As Edward outlined his plan, a part of me recoiled at the idea. But a larger part, the part consumed by rage and hurt, latched onto it like a lifeline. That night, I sat at my computer, fingers flying over the keyboard. Years of managing Travis's accounts gave me intimate knowledge of his finances. It didn't take long to find what I was looking for: hidden accounts, shady transactions, evidence of fraud. My phone buzzed again. Travis. Where are the signed papers, Sam? Don't make this difficult. I smiled grimly, typing out a response. We need to talk. Meet me at the cafe tomorrow at 2 p.m. The next day, I arrived early, setting up my laptop. My heart raced as I saw Travis saunter in, his usual cocky grin in place. Finally come to your senses? He asked, sliding into the seat across from me. I took a deep breath. Not exactly. I've been doing some digging, Travis. Care to explain these? I turned the laptop towards him, showing the evidence of his financial misdeeds. The color drained from his face. How did you? Doesn't matter. I cut him off. What matters is what happens next. You have two choices. One, you take on the mortgage and all associated debts. Or two, I turn this over to the authorities. Travis's eyes narrowed. You're bluffing. You'd go down with me. Maybe, I conceded, but I have nothing left to lose thanks to you. Can you say the same? For a moment, I saw fear flicker in his eyes. Then his face hardened. Nice try, Sam. But you forget. I know you. You don't have the guts to go through with this. He stood up, looming over me. Sign the papers, or I'll make your life a living hell. You think you're struggling now? Just wait. As he stormed out, leaving me trembling in my seat, I realized he was right. The old Samantha wouldn't have the courage to follow through. But I wasn't that woman anymore. With shaking hands, I pulled out my phone and dialed a number I'd memorized earlier. Hello? Is this the FBI's Financial Crimes Division? I'd like to report a case of fraud. As I began detailing Travis's crimes, I felt a strange mix of terror and exhilaration. There was no going back now. I was all in, for better or worse. The game had changed, and this time I was determined to win. My heart pounded as I stood outside the quaint suburban house. This was it, the moment of truth. I took a deep breath and rang the doorbell. A pretty blonde woman answered, her smile faltering as she saw me. Can I help you? Are you Stella? I asked, my voice steadier than I felt. She nodded, confusion evident on her face. I'm Samantha, Travis's wife. The color drained from Stella's face. I don't understand. Travis said he was divorced. Not quite, I said, my anger rising. Is he here? As if on cue, Travis appeared behind Stella. His eyes widened in shock. Sam? What are you doing here? I pushed past them into the house, Stella too stunned to stop me. We need to talk, all of us. In the living room, I saw Mabel looking bewildered. Samantha, what's going on? I turned to face them all. It's time for the truth to come out. Travis, why don't you start by explaining to Stella how you're still married? Or maybe you'd like to tell her about the fraudulent financial dealings I uncovered. Travis's face contorted with rage. You had no right. I had every right, I shouted. You left me drowning in debt, Travis. Debt you tricked me into taking on. Stella's voice was barely a whisper. Is this true? Travis's charm kicked in, his voice smooth. Baby, it's not what it sounds like. Sam's just bitter. Don't you dare, I cut him off. I turned to Stella. I have proof of everything, the affairs, the fraud, all of it. I pulled out my phone, showing her the documents I'd gathered. Stella's face crumpled as she scrolled through, the evidence undeniable. How could you? She whispered to Travis. Travis's facade finally cracked. I can explain, but there was no explaining away the truth. As Stella and Mabel absorbed the reality of Travis's deceptions, I felt a weight lifting from my shoulders. So what now? Travis asked, his voice hollow. You've ruined everything. Are you happy? I looked at him, this man I once loved, and felt nothing but pity. This isn't about being happy, Travis. The FBI is already investigating your finances. You're going to face the consequences of your actions. Mabel let out a strangled sob. My boy. What have you done? I turned to her, my voice softening. Mabel, I'm sorry, but you can't stay here anymore. I've arranged for you to move to a nice assisted living facility. Travis will cover the costs. It's the least he can do. Travis's head snapped up. You can't do that. Actually, I can, I said, my voice firm. It's all part of the deal I worked out with the prosecutor. You take responsibility for your actions or you face the full extent of the law. The fight seemed to drain out of Travis. He slumped onto the couch, head in his hands. Stella, who had been silent, suddenly spoke up. I want in on this deal. He lied to me too. Used me. I nodded, a spark of understanding passing between us. Of course, we'll make sure he pays alimony to both of us. As the reality of his situation sank in, Travis looked up at me, his eyes pleading. Sam, please, we can work this out. I'll do anything. For a moment, I remembered the charming man I fell in love with, but that man was gone, if he ever truly existed. It's too late for that, Travis, I said softly. You made your choices. Now you have to live with them. I turned to leave, feeling lighter than I had in years. At the door, I paused and looked back at the chaos I was leaving behind. Stella was crying, Mabel was praying, and Travis looked broken, but I felt no satisfaction, no joy in their pain. Only relief that it was finally over. As I stepped out into the sunlight, I took a deep breath. For the first time in years, I felt free. The road ahead wouldn't be easy, but I was ready to face it, on my own terms. I pulled out my phone and dialed Edward's number. It's done, I said when he answered. Thank you for everything. You did it, Samantha, he replied, his voice warm. I'm proud of you. As I hung up, I smiled. The shadows of betrayal were finally lifting, and I was stepping into the light of a new day, stronger, wiser, and ready for whatever came next.